Chemistry 2.4, the ever-changing Earth. So the first question asks you, the percentage of carbon dioxide in the air is 0.04. State given reasons in each case, how do you expect the percentage of carbon dioxide to change? Number one, in a crowded classroom. So it would increase as the people in the classroom will be breathing out and they're breathing out carbon dioxide. In a greenhouse full of plants on a sunny day, decrease, the plants will be photosynthesizing, so will be taking in the carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. In the furnace of a coal-fired power station, increase. This is combustion, which will mean releasing extra CO2 into the environment. The second question then is looking at a pie chart full of information about sources of sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is largely given off from power stations, but then also from cars and maybe a little bit of domestic commercial industry. You're asked to work out sources of sulfur dioxide include power stations, iron, steel manufacturing, and other industries. Calculate the total percentage of sulfur dioxide from industrial sources, so just from industry. So you're adding 65, 12 and 14 together, and that gave you 91. So 91% of sulfur dioxide comes from industries. The second part of this question then asks you to comment on some graph data again about sulfur dioxide, looking at the target to decrease the amount of sulfur dioxide levels, so starting in 1970 and finishing in 2010. Use the information to give two conclusions that describe sulfur dioxide emissions between 2000 and 2012. So sulfur dioxide has decreased at a decreasing rate because it's going down in a slight curve. Our emissions are lower than the target. So as you can see here are the points that we wanted them to be at certain times, and as you can see, our sulfur dioxide emissions are lower than target. Then it goes on to ask you why you think there was a peak at 1970, and I've circled that up there. One of the conclusions from that could be that it was a harsh winter, more electricity needed. Another one might have been that there was a large sporting event on during that year, so that an awful lot more electricity was used during the summer months. The final little bit then, still about sulfur dioxide, and this little bit about causing acid rain. Acid rain causes pH in lakes and reservoirs to decrease. The graph below shows a change in pH of a reservoir between 1982 and 2005. Describe how the pH and acidity changes between 1982 and 2005. So the pH increases, the acidity decreases because the number's lower. Lower than 7 is acidic, but the closer you get to 0, the more acidic the water would be. It then goes on to give you a series of equipment that you could use to test the pH of the water. Give the letter of the equipment above that you would choose to record and store the pH of a reservoir several times a day. Give a reason for your choice. So I would depict the data logger and pH sensor, because the data logger would be able to record and keep your data all day. So you'd be able to record the same place in the water throughout the day and be able to store and look at whether the pH changes throughout the day. Question number 3, another pie chart question now, looking at the United States and how many greenhouse gases are emitted. Calculate the percentage of emissions from electricity generation, so the one that is without. So I added them all up and then did 100, which is what percentage would be out of. Take away 75, so 25% comes from electrical emissions. Explain why scientists are concerned about the release of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Release of CO2 causes the temperature of the Earth to rise. This leads to erratic weather and ice caps melting. Suggest one way to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere due to electricity generation. Okay, so you're just looking at electricity. So saying things like use the bus, that wouldn't count because that would be to do with transport. This is just to do electrical generation, and the easiest way to change that is to use renewable energy. Question number 4 is looking at burning, so combustion. Combustion is a large source of greenhouse gases, especially CO2. And the diagram shows what happens when wood burns. Name the gas in the air that is needed for wood to burn. Oxygen, part of the fire triangle. You need oxygen for a fire to start. Choose from the list the main products formed when wood burns. The substance that causes acidic rain or acid rain, that is sulfur dioxide. You're only using it from this list here. Okay, don't just start making up words. You've got to use them from this list here. The second one says an element. So an element contains only one type of atom. It's found on the periodic table. The only one you have to pick is carbon. Most scientists believe that increasing carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere cause global warming. Explain why wood used as a fuel is said to be carbon neutral. Burning the wood releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So every time you're burning this wood, it's releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. However, when the wood is growing as a plant, it takes in carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, which makes it carbon neutral because the amount of carbon dioxide it's given out is exactly the same to the amount of carbon dioxide that it takes in during its lifetime as a plant before it's cut down. Question number 5. Again, a graph question. The majority of scientists believe that changes in solar activity, e.g. the brightness or the warmth of the sun, causes global warming. The graph below shows the change in solar activity and atmospheric temperatures from 1880. So you can see that the line that is just black is the temperature, and then the dotted line is the solar activity. Use information from graphs. State how well the evidence supports the argument solar activity is the cause of global warming. So as you can see, as the solar activity increases, so does the temperature of the atmosphere also increase. So they're in a positive correlation to each other. They're dependent on each other to be able to see the increase. Most scientists believe the main cause of global warming is an increase in carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. State the main cause of the increased carbon dioxide levels: burning petrol for cars or increased use of electricity. Describe one method of reducing current atmospheric carbon dioxide levels: recycling, car sharing, using renewable energy.